Okay, so I'm going to clean up this brake plate. I'm just going to use some paint thinner. It's light and it's not too bad here in the garage for odor. Don't need very much, just going to get some of the grease and junk off of this and have a look at it, and it's still pretty shiny, so I might just give it a really light like a polish with a paste out of a tube, as opposed to the paste on my buffing wheel, and rather than buff it out, but we'll see. Anyway, when I get it cleaned up, and I want to get these cams out as well. Just take out the cams and clean those guys up, and when I go to reassemble it, I'll end up putting a little bit of brake lubricant on there. I've got some brake grease, which is silicone based, and it only needs a light smear. You don't need much. I use it when I rebuild my brake calipers on my vehicles, so it works really well. It doesn't send all kinds of grease flying all over the place, and it's silicone based and sticks. Anyway, so just gonna get my brush that I use for that and a little bit of paint thinner. Just gonna put it in my magnet tray here, my little metal magnet tray. Let's do that. There we go. Don't need very much, just a really, really light splash. Put that over there. And then just get to cleaning this guy up. Kind of soak it all with the brake cleaner there. Look at that. Oh yeah, it just dissolves it. Takes it all up. And I'll get in there too with the with those cams, and I'll clean out the splines on them a little bit. Oh yeah, this is just work. I mean, I always kept it clean by washing, but this is a little hard to get into that space there when the linkage is attached to it. So this is a way to do this. Comes right out real fast, real good. There we go. And I'll do the inside too. I vacuumed the inside. I brushed it first, just kind of brush off the loose brake dust, and then I vacuumed it and got as much out as I can there, and then I'll come at it with this. It wasn't too greasy. There was more grease in the center of the wheel, the drum portion of the brake, than there was here on this plate that held the shoes. But that makes sense. The bearing has like a felt washer there that covers it, and there was just grease leaking out around that a little bit. Well, a lot, but over the years, you know, there's enough that it would accumulate. All right. Now let's get the other side here. There we go. That's probably, yeah, that's taking up the grease rather nicely. But some of the grease that they put on, and they just put on just straight grease, like white grease. I don't even know if it's lithium or if it's just, anyway, this in the factory, they just put on this white grease. And I can see that some of it, over the years from the heat and from the friction, has actually kind of burnt itself onto the metal of the cam. So I'm just going to take my little scouring pad there, dollar store scouring pad, and just kind of rough that up in a second here. All right, so this, you should just, there they are, they just pop out. And there's no need to, oh, this one's a little stiff. This is interesting. You know, I can feel that's actually a little rough. Yeah, that doesn't want to turn as easy. Let me think now, was that the one that was giving me the grief? That would sit up there. Yeah, you know, that was the one that was giving me the grief too. Ah, isn't that interesting? Well, I'll have to work this guy out. Yeah, it doesn't look like the Yeah. It seems to have a bit of interference there when it wants to come out. It doesn't want to come out. And it should just drop out. I don't know. Let me wipe that off a little bit. That's good. Yeah, because the other one, pretty clear. It's pretty clean going through. So let's send the paper towel down there and clean that out a little bit. Down from the other side. All right. Now, I'm going to take my rubber mallet, just give it some taps so you can get that. Little dog, it's still not popping. It should just pop out. Yeah, it just doesn't want to pop out. There we go. Now, it's interesting. They both, if you can see that, this is certainly on the clean one, they've both got a section in the center that's kind of a little, it's been machined in a little bit, machined down a little bit. Gee, I don't know why I can't speak today. It's been machined down a little bit, so there's a shoulder on either side here. But this one, other than being a little dirty, it's the only real difference I can see. I don't feel any roughness. Doesn't feel like it shouldn't go in. But it was a little bit tricky coming out, so that's okay. What I'm going to do is I am going to just look in there. I look through on the light. I don't know. I don't see any roughness. I don't see any edges, so it must have just been a little bit tight when they machined through there, because pretty sure those should have just about dropped out. They should easily have pushed out with my finger. There shouldn't have been an issue pushing them out. So let's get this going here. There we go. Get it through the other side. Look at that through the light. That should, I don't see any problems with it. So, and the other one likewise. So they're going to get a bit of grease anyway. And I'll just wire wheel the machine part there and just clean that all up before I reinstall it. Before I put the shoes on and everything else. And there's no problem with the pivot points. They're nice and smooth, and there's nothing rough about them, so just give them a little bit of grease. And I mean, just a bit. You put a little on your finger and you smear it on the surface. You know, I've watched videos of guys doing this, and they just put these big globs of grease on the cams. And, you know, you get a little bit of grease on your brake shoe and that's it. Your brake's not going to work.